Tonight, we're going to share a story that's, well, deeply unsettling. It's a disappearance that really haunts the edges of modern mystery.
Absolutely.
Leaves you with this trail of strange choices, so many unanswered questions. This is The Deep Dive, and we're exploring the vanishing of Steven Koecher.
It's a narrative that isn't just about someone stepping out of existence, is it? It really highlights how quickly someone, maybe under quiet pressure, can pivot from a normal life into nothing, an empty space.
Yeah.
This case, it sort of challenges our assumptions about how people behave, and you're left wondering what unseen things were really going on.
Exactly. For you, we've meticulously pieced together Steven's last known movements, the clues that still confound investigators, and the theories that, desperately try to make sense of a man who just ceased to be.
It's a tough one.
Prepare yourself, because this story will definitely pull you in to its perplexing depths. Okay, let's start by setting the scene with Steven Koecher himself. Born in 1979, so he was just 30 years old when he disappeared back in December 2009. Steven was known as a devout member of the Latter-day Saints. A community often characterized by strong family ties, church ties, someone who didn't drink, didn't do drugs.
Pretty straight-laced on the surface.
But people close to him also describe him as spontaneous, fun-loving even. A guy with a sharp mind. He got a BA in communications from the University of Utah, and his first job was actually for the Salt Lake Tribune.
Yeah, and what's really crucial to understand about Steven's life, especially in those months leading up to his disappearance, is the pressure. It was escalating. These weren't just small setbacks. They were like profound shifts that seemed to be cornering him.
Totally. He got laid off from his job at the Tribune, which is a big blow. That prompted him to move to St. George, Utah. It's about 300 miles south of Salt Lake City.
A long way from his support system.
Exactly. But it wasn't really a fresh start. Life there seems to have been incredibly isolating. He had no family there, no real friends established yet. He struggled constantly to find stable work.
Just odd jobs.
Yeah, taking on a patchwork of odd jobs, even handing out flyers at one point.
Uh-huh.
And more critically, his financial situation just spiraled. We're talking 3 months behind on rent.
Wow.
And he'd stopped returning his landlord's calls, which, shows a level of avoidance suggesting some deep distress.
Right, and that paints this really vivid picture. It's not just isolation and financial strain, but maybe a growing sense of desperation.
Yeah.
And wanting to hide how bad things had gotten.
Seems like it.
His landlord even had to call Steven's parents about the unpaid rent. That initial secrecy, even with his family, it immediately casts a shadow, doesn't it? Suggests he was already operating under this heavy, unspoken burden before anything else happened.
Yeah, what kind of pressure leads to that? It's where things go from just concerning to, truly perplexing.
Yeah.
His money troubles paint one picture, but it's his actions in the days right before he vanished that just defy any easy explanation. So early December 2009, literally days before he disappeared, Steven goes on this bizarre, totally unexplained road trip.
Out of nowhere.
Think about this. Wednesday, December 9th, he talks to his sister. Makes absolutely no mention of any travel plans. Nothing at all.
Okay.
Later that same night, he talked to his dad about the rent situation. Apparently sounded annoyed that his parents even knew about it and kind of downplayed how serious it was.
So already hiding things, deflecting.
Yeah. And that lie he later tells about Sacramento.
That's key, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It just throws this veil over his intentions right away. It's not just hiding a trip, it's actively creating a false story.
What does that tell you?
It says a lot about the level of secrecy he felt he needed. What could have been so important or maybe so sensitive that he had to make up such an elaborate lie?
Right. So the next day, Thursday, December 10th, it escalates into this full-blown enigma. By 6:45 a.m., Steven had already driven about 302 miles north. He stops for gas in Salt Lake City.
Okay, so back towards his old home area.
But still, no known reason for this sudden trip. Then he keeps driving another 200 miles and makes this really inexplicable stop sometime between noon and 2 p.m.
At the house of an ex-girlfriend's parents in Ruby Valley, Nevada. Total detour.
An ex-girlfriend's parents? That's specific and awkward.
Very. And his excuse for being there, he claimed he was just passing through on his way to meet family in Sacramento.
But he didn't have family there.
No family there at all. It was a complete fabrication.
It's not just the distance then, or the weird destination. It's the deliberate lie. That's not typical behavior for someone just, out for a drive.
No way.
It suggests either a really urgent, very personal mission he couldn't share, or maybe he was trying to set up an alibi, a cover story for something much bigger. The secrecy is just palpable.
Later that same day, he calls his sister again, Still, incredibly, no mention of where he is where this huge road trip he's on.
Wow. Consistent deception.
Then he talks to his mom, apparently sounded in a good mood, told her he planned to come home for Christmas. His mom, trying to help him out, even deposited money into his account for the rent.
Which he needed, presumably.
Money, it turns out, Stephen never even touched. He finally gets back home around 11 p.m. that night. He'd driven a staggering 1,091 miles in about 20 hours.
Unbelievable.
All for some unknown reason.
This strange, silent journey, filled with lies and these weird detours. It's a massive, disquieting puzzle piece in his disappearance.
It really is. It seems impulsive on the surface, but that pattern of deception, it points to a conscious effort to keep his movements hidden, doesn't it? Creates this really disturbing disconnect between how he seemed to his family and what he was actually doing. Very unusual actions.
Okay, so just 2 days after that completely baffling road trip, Stephen was apparently preparing for Christmas. And this is another really crucial detail.
Yeah.
He actually bought Christmas gifts for his family. Suggests he fully intended to go home for the holidays, right?
You'd think so.
And these presents, they were actually found in his car later, which really complicates any theories about him planning to disappear or, worse. That detail is hugely significant. It directly contradicts the idea that someone's planning to end their life or just run away permanently.
Right.
People planning to vanish don't usually go Christmas shopping right beforehand. It shows a clear intent to return, making his sudden disappearance even more bewildering.
So, Sunday, December 13th. This is the day he vanished. Stephen gets a call from someone at his church back in St. George. They asked him if he could cover a service at 11 a.m.
Okay.
Stephen tells him he's actually in Las Vegas, but says he could drive the 2 hours back if they really needed him.
So he admits he's in Vegas to them.
He does. The associate said, "No, don't worry about it. We'll cover it." He gets 2 more similar calls from the church later, and each time he confirms, "Yep, I'm in Las Vegas." Though technically he was in Henderson, which is, well, basically the same area, part of the Vegas metro.
Right, practically speaking. But still, this consistent sort of casual misdirection about his exact location, even with church associates, it adds another layer to the secrecy, doesn't it?
It really does. Then that afternoon, Stephen's car, a crucial piece of evidence, is caught on home security footage. It's passing a house in Henderson, Nevada.
Okay, so we have video.
Yes. And another camera then captures a male figure, believed to be Stephen, walking up the road. He's carrying a backpack.
And that's the last sighting.
That is the last confirmed sighting anyone has ever had of him. Just walking, disappearing into the Nevada afternoon. The very last activity recorded on his phone was his voicemail being checked the next morning, December 14th.
Okay, the voicemail check is weird, but what really stands out about this final sequence is the disconnect. It's huge. Between where his car was found and the last known location or activity of his phone.
Explain that.
His car was parked in what people described as a seemingly nice, well-kept retirement community. Sun City Anthem, I think.
Right. Quiet neighborhood.
But then the final ping from his cell phone, and remember, that's just a signal hitting a cell tower, it gives a general area, not like a precise GPS spot. It placed him significantly north of there. Yeah, in what was described as a much sketchier neighborhood, an area where Stephen had absolutely no known connection, no friends, no family, no reason to be there that anyone knows of.
So December 17th, he's officially reported missing. And the mystery just deepens when you think about those final pings and where the car was.
Exactly.
Why leave his car in one relatively safe place and then seemingly walk into another, maybe more desolate or dangerous area? And who checked his voicemail after he was last seen walking away?
That discrepancy, car versus phone ping, it creates a massive investigative hurdle. It suggests maybe a deliberate separation of his identity from his vehicle, maybe an attempt to mislead. Or it could point to an entirely different, much darker scenario playing out in that other neighborhood. Something went wrong there.
So with Stephen's last known moments just offering more riddles than answers, the void has kind of been filled by competing theories, people trying to piece together what happened.
Naturally.
One of the most common ones is that he simply decided to disappear, either ran away to start a new life or tragically committed suicide.
And support for that theory, it often points directly back to his financial problems, right?
Yeah.
The mounting debt, the joblessness, the pressure he was clearly under.
Yeah.
Family members have, in interviews mentioned that Stephen seemed unhappy with his situation, maybe could have been struggling with depression. It seems like a logical conclusion given the stress.
Okay, but there are big counterpoints, aren't there?
Mm-hmm.
They seriously undermine the idea he just vanished on purpose. From an investigation standpoint, how do you weigh those contradictions?
It's difficult.
Like, why buy Christmas presents for your family if you're planning to disappear or end your life?
Yeah.
That doesn't track.
It really doesn't.
And if he did commit suicide, who checked his voicemail the next morning? That's critical detail someone needs to explain.
A very critical detail.
Plus, why leave the car in a nice, quiet neighborhood only to walk to a completely unfamiliar, seemingly rougher area with no known ties? These questions just gnaw the edges of the suicide or runaway theory.
You're absolutely right. The Christmas gifts and that voicemail check are particularly hard to square with a planned suicide or him just running away. Someone else had to access his phone, presumably.
Seems likely.
And deliberately separating himself from his car, especially moving towards a less desirable area, it suggests either a planned meeting he desperately wanted kept secret or a terrible miscalculation on his part. It pushes us towards considering something much more unsettling.
Which leads us to the second main theory, a darker one. That Stephen got involved, maybe without fully realizing the risk, in some kind of shady money-making deal or maybe some kind of lucrative short-term work, and that foul play was ultimately involved.
And this theory, it gains a lot of traction when you look again at that surveillance video.
The last sighting.
Yeah. Stephen's seen leaving his car, walking just before noon. He looks like he has an appointment, you know. He's walking with purpose, not just wandering aimlessly. It really looks like he was walking to a specific house or maybe towards an unseen car that was waiting for him. It raises that big question. Was he meeting someone he couldn't tell his family about, perhaps someone connected to this secret work?
And here's where a very specific and honestly quite intriguing theory comes into play. It was proposed by a Redditor who really dug into the case files.
Okay. What's the theory?
That Stephen might have gotten a job delivering foreclosure notices. Maybe found through Craigslist or some other online platform.
Foreclosure notices, huh?
Think about the timing. December 2009, we were at the peak of the massive recession, the housing crisis. Las Vegas was hit incredibly hard.
Ground zero, practically.
And this kind of work, hand-delivering foreclosure notices to people already incredibly stressed, it was often done by independent contractors. Risky work sometimes.
Okay, I can see how this might explain a lot, actually. It can tie together so many of those loose threads.
How so?
Well, it provides a potentially strong reason for his secrecy, right? Maybe he was ashamed of doing that kind of work, didn't want to tell his family another layoff or struggling story, especially given his background.
Makes sense.
It could also explain why he didn't use the money his mom sent for rent. Maybe he was earning his own cash, even if it was through this less conventional, potentially hazardous job.
And crucially, this theory could also explain that bizarre, long road trip just days before he vanished. Maybe he was delivering notices then, too, possibly covering a wide area for whoever hired him. The theory suggests he was in Vegas, specifically Henderson, on December 13th to hand-deliver a notice and, chillingly, maybe encountered a particularly desperate or violent homeowner.
Oh, man.
Apparently, the standard strategy for delivering those notices is often to park down the street and walk up. Kind of to surprise the homeowner who's already on edge, maybe feeling desperate, vulnerable, angry.
Yeah, you can see how that could go bad quickly. So the chilling thought is that Stephen could have been attacked, or worse, by an angry homeowner who just reached their breaking point, someone who saw him as like the face of their financial ruin right there on their doorstep.
Exactly.
Wow. The Redditor's analysis even suggested investigating the foreclosure history of every house in that specific Henderson area, checking police records for the owners for any violent past. But that's a huge task.
Massive.
Still, this theory connects the financial pressure, the secrecy, the odd travel, the car's location, even the direction of his final walk. It makes it all fit into a coherent, though deeply tragic, narrative.
Could that be what happened to Stephen Koecher?
Yeah.
It is certainly a possibility that makes a lot of those disparate facts suddenly click into place. Paints a grim picture of economic desperation potentially meeting unforeseen violence.
It does offer a plausible framework.
But ultimately, you are left with the chilling truth. 15 years later, we still have absolutely no idea where Stephen Koecher is, or even if he's still alive.
Such a long time.
The lights his family puts on in memory of him, they've said they'll remain on until he's found. It's just a stark reminder of the profound mysteries that can linger, sometimes indefinitely, in our world.
This case, especially if you consider that foreclosure theory, it really exposes the hidden vulnerabilities people faced during that recession. How desperate independent work could lead someone into unseen, unpredictable danger.
Yeah.
A grim intersection of economic pressure and personal risk that maybe we'll never truly understand in his case.
It truly makes you wonder, doesn't it? What small, maybe seemingly insignificant detail did investigators miss, or will we just never know, that would unlock this whole puzzle? Finally bring some kind of closure to the enduring mystery of Stephen Koecher.
If only we knew.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the disappearance of Stephen Koecher. If you found this story compelling, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Horror Docs for more insights and intriguing explorations.
Definitely check out more.
Until next time, stay curious.